Yeah.
I love our music.
You better believe it. You better believe it. All you watchers out there, this is 97.9 Unity Radio, the best political talk show in all of Worcester.
Really? I thought it was
Massachusetts.
like MMA or something, or wrestling.
All of central Massachusetts, all of New England, the only political talk show that tells it like it is. You're either with us or you're against us. To my left, he will never have to pay his bills with joy again, nor will he ever feel joy again. The voice of reason, Frank Cristiano.
I never.
And the man.
I never feel joy.
The man who falls asleep on my podcasts because they're so boring. And he ate too many vodka riggies tonight.
Oh, shit.
And the greatest influencer in the history of influencers has 1.7 million followers, subscribers. Nobody has an audience like the Coach Schuman Sports and Entertainment channel on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. And there he is himself, David Schuman. Welcome.
Rebel Republic.
We are the Rebel Republic, and like I said, you're either with us or against us.
So we're basically it's all of Massachusetts.
Well, no, we have a great reach.
Well, yeah, but I'm
our
saying
reach is vast.
But Mass is out there, right? And
we're on the radio in Mass.
Yep.
Are we really on the radio? I've never heard.
Yes, yeah, we are. No. We are. And we're
absolutely not.
We're on the Studio
My face
25.
is not on the podcast. My face is not on 97.9 Unity Radio.
I know. I
Me neither.
I feel like it's anti-Polynesian because of that.
Right.
We'll tell Ernie.
Anti-Italian. I haven't seen any of that.
You're
Where am
on
I?
it. You're on.
I am.
Yes.
Where am I?
Yeah, it's you, Mr. Wells, and I on it. He never changed the pic. He put Dave's picture at the top.
Why is Mr. Wells on it? I've never seen this guy on the podcast.
Well, he was on it before
on
you.
anything.
All right, stop taking out your.
I'm being oppressed.
Festivus is over. There are no more airing of
Black Lives Matter for me. Where are they?
And we're also on the Studio 25 podcast network. I got Dave to put us on there. We're very popular here.
Mr. Wells was around when Paul Revere rode on his horse to warn the citizens in Boston.
So we have a lot going on in this country as we make our transition to President-elect Donald J. Trump when he comes into office. And current president, if you want to call him that, Joseph incompetent, stupid, smelly, diaper-wearing Biden is still in office and making life difficult as possible for the transition when Mr. Trump comes into power.
You making it difficult for the trans?
Yeah, he's well. I'm non-binary, so I wouldn't know that. But he's making the transition difficult for Trump when he comes in. He wants him to have as many problems as possible when he enters. And I don't understand this because when Trump lost the election, he, of course, protested. He, of course, said the election was stolen. But he made the transition nice and easy to diaper-wearing Biden. So why is Biden not returning the favor?
I mean, I think obviously you have to realize that the second time around for Trump is very upsetting.
Well, it's monumental.
It's monumental for a conservative or Republican.
But this is happening.
But it's detrimental to mental and physical health for many liberals. They have recently lost their minds to another extent. They've lost their minds to the point where they've
lost their minds.
No, they've lost their minds to the point where they have organized now.
Oh,
they are now called the Resistance.
The Resistance.
Yes.
Wait, do we have to change our name from Rebel Republic now to?
What are they resisting?
Are we no longer rebels now that we won?
No, we're still rebels because everyone's against the Republic.
Well, it seems like a rebels because they're fighting over who's going to be the Speaker of the House because who likes Johnson and who doesn't. They have to realize that
How many people are in the Resistance?
They can't in the Resistance. Depending on how many voted for, I would say probably 2/3 of the people that voted Democrat this year, voted for Kamala Harris, are part of a newly organized political party called the Resistance Party.
Oh, is that what they call it? Is that?
I don't know. This is just what I'm saying right now, but I think that's what you're going to see. That is the feel of a vast majority of voters that cannot believe that someone who was supposedly
he's Hitler.
And obviously he's Adolf Hitler. Obviously he's a racist. Impeached twice. He's got 34 counts.
Mar-a-Lago.
Right. So, January 6th, I mean, he's caused that too.
The insurrection.
Right. So, they're obviously stunned.
Nancy Pelosi.
They're stunned at the lack of education and knowledge
the China
of
virus.
People that voted for this current president-elect. And so now you're going to see not just, and then the Resistance, where does it come from? And obviously, Joe Biden has joined that party for the last month and a half. I mean, and
Joe Biden doesn't know what year.
And over 8,000 people are very happy that he joined that party because they've been pardoned.
Yeah,
there's over 8,000. Dave, 8,000 pardons.
Yes, all
have been handed out by Joe Biden.
It's Oprah. You get a pardon.
If you murdered someone, you were pardoned.
Right.
Yeah.
No. So what you're seeing now is the culmination of just a panic that has organized itself
and
to be able to resist. They're going to listen every step along the way. You're going to see You're going to see
kicking and screaming.
Whoever may be in Congress, whoever may be in charge of certain organizations or groups, whoever may be in power in larger corporations that can have an effect on any of the policies or any of the actions that this administration will take over the next 4 years, you will see that wrench trying to be thrown into the machine.
Wow. That's just, I mean, I just don't understand that because we are still one country. We still have to function. We're not one country, though. We're not one country anymore. But we have to be.
There is no way. I don't see any going back. I don't know, David. What do you think? I don't see this country going back to unless there is another national like a national
civil war,
like a 9/11. If there's some kind of thing where it's obvious who is attacking the American public to unite that American public, without that, I don't see America coming back and being together again because we're just so divided.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I agree with Frank on that in the sense that it's going to be difficult.
It'll take a catastrophe to bring everyone together.
I don't know. I mean, listen, Trump wants to, believe it or not. Like, Trump really wants to try and do that. I think Trump wants to bring them back together. I think what's interesting is this is what I think you're seeing, and it's going to happen now in the Democrat Party. It happens in the Republican Party, amazingly. So first round, when Trump won, okay, you were MAGA on board. Every Republican was on board for the most part. Okay, even now, and then everybody else was off board. And the
media still hammered him every day.
What I think is interesting about the conservative. The Republican Party now is that there's much more diversity, and I'm not ethnically. Yes, there's much more diversity ethnically, no doubt about it. But there's also diversity of thought, which I think is to me is really good about
That's very good
for the Republican Party. Whereas the Democrats are going to work to do this, I believe. Because it's their only chance to survive, okay, is they can't all be lockstep in the being to the far left, being on the woke agenda, if they all stay lockstep on that, whether they are or they aren't, like people who are Democrats that are probably more liberal, not as leftist, if they don't voice their opinion and the diversity of thought within their party, I think the Democrat Party is in huge trouble. I think the Republican Party now,
I do too.
diversity of thought. Now, and I'm going to bring up the thing that I read with Vivek, okay, and Elon, and I disagree on a lot of their points. There are things I agree with, but I think the great thing about the Republican Party now is that you have multiple different ideas on certain things.
Different voices.
Right. It's still conservative. And the big debate right now is a whole H1b thing where Elon and Vivek, I mean, there's a bunch of things going on, but this is one of the big things. There's a difference of opinion. Vivek and Elon believe that H1b should be increased, not the 65,000 that we currently have. It should go to an infinite number, okay, of immigrants. Now, Republicans, conservatives who are against increasing immigration.
That. Okay.
Or people who are against increasing immigration are against the increase in the H1b visas. And I'm going to give you kind of my thought on this because I think it's I have a little bit of experience with it. It goes back a long time ago, but I could give my experience from it with H1b.
You immigrated?
No.
Oh, sorry. No, I thought that's. I swear to God.
Actually, my mother's an immigrant. I
thought that's where you were going. Like,
well, I'm not.
Came over on the boat or something. Okay.
But I'm going to go into my mother. My mother was born in Indonesia,
right,
and then moved to the Netherlands again. Came here, but anyway. So the thing that is interesting about it, so they Elon and Vivek want more basically developers, bring them in from other countries. The conservative base, the original Trump MAGAs, do not want that. They're against it. Okay, right. I see both sides of it, but I think that it potentially opens up a floodgate in the direction we don't want to go. And I think about it like this: from when I was in tech, this is a long time ago, but in 2000 when I was in tech, one of the things that was happening was the big movement for H1b visas and bringing over, because it was cheaper to hire, because technology was costly. You wanted to build websites, you wanted to build these things. It was very costly at the time. They wanted to get H1Bs and go over to India or other countries, and these things really grew rapidly because of it, offshore development. And what it basically became, and I just because I see it from the side of the American developers and what happened. So there was a level of shortage of great developers on the quote unquote Americans that were born here side. Okay. The ones that we had were phenomenal. The problem was there wasn't a ton of them. The ones over offshore, in my opinion, at the time were horrible, but there was lots of them available.
Right.
And what it did was it decreased the cost for an engineer. All right. And when you decrease the cost of an engineer, much like anything else you do when you import stuff from overseas, okay, you decrease the overall wages for the American individual. And what happens is, and I'm not even giving an opinion on this, but this is just the reality of what happens.
No, this is the
facts. You're from India or a foreign country, and you come over on an H1B visa, and you make X amount of dollars per year for 2 years or whatever the time period. I think it's 6 months renewable. Let's say you stay for a couple of years, and you do that, and then you go back. Okay, you sock that money away, send it to your family. Your family does very, very well. That money goes away from American families. The American family doesn't get hired.
Correct.
And that's one less person employed. Now, the flip side of it is Vivek and Elon. think that we don't have enough of them that are good. We have a culture problem. We don't have enough engineers. And you read the quote, his kind of quote was, too many people are emphasizing the prom queen, and playing sports, being a jock versus being a nerd, basically. So on and so forth. And my whole thing is this: you can be whatever the hell you want in America. So if you want to be now, if we really truly do have a shortage of engineers, and we think that we should get more American-born engineers, if that is the thing that we want to do, then we have to go and invest in that within the school system. So one of the things Vivek wants to do is overhaul Department of Education, which I agree with that part of it. But what does that look like? Meaning, if you overhaul the Department of Education and you change how public schools are, and you say, okay, we're going to teach engineering to more people, which I don't disagree with, being better in math, being better at physics.
Well, that's like charter schools that they do that, right?
But my question ultimately of all of this is, these engineers, are they actually going to be employing other engineers in the long run by doing all this? Or are we just building a better AI system, which will ultimately put most of them as unemployed anyway?
That'll get it. Yeah.
And we're going to still need trade guys. We're still going to need laborers. We're still going to need people to do things.
Dave, the problem here in this country is it's not that we don't have enough of this or enough of that or enough of, we don't have people that want to work.
No.
We don't have youth that are motivated to work.
No.
We don't have adults that need to pay bills that are motivated to work. We have no one, what we have that wants to work? Senior citizens. Because they're 68, 70 years old and they can't, not that they don't want to sit home. They can't afford to just live basically in life on what they've saved and what they're claiming or acquiring from the government. They need that second job just to supplement maybe food or payments or whatever they have to do to survive. That's the labor force right now. It's the senior citizens labor force. After that, there is no motivation from anyone in this country to want to work anymore. And that's the problem. But for me, I think
I agree with that. I think in low paid wage jobs, I would agree with you. Meaning lower paid wage jobs, which were usually the foundation for young people moving on to the next level. I agree. I don't agree that there aren't people that want to be engineers that are, what are these kids? Are these kids that are going to Harvard? They want to be they want to be influencers like myself. I mean,
no, but listen, probably some do. But Dave, what they're doing is that if a person he's waiting for that engineering job and not getting it and not wanting to do anything else
until he gets
that job.
What do you feel?
That's why there's an emptiness in the labor force.
Two different debates, though. I think so. I agree with you on that. I think you're right, but I think there's two different things. So what Vivek, maybe if I can pull up that quote, I think, did I send it? I did send it.
Yes, you sent it to me.
Let me pull it up here real quick because I want to read it because I thought it was a little crazy, but I also thought it was interesting too because he brings up a lot in there. Did I send it to both of you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, that may be it. So I got to go. Yep.
Let me see. Hold on. No, I said it.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Dave, about immigration too.
Okay.
But I think we're missing the point on everything, though. We're missing the point on everything here. Okay, so, and I think you had said like in the first go around with Trump, it was sort of it was all they were all good with it. See, the first go around with Trump, most every Republican candidate or Republican politician thought Trump was a joke. Okay, really? So.
Well, they were entertained.
Yeah, but not once he got in, though. Once he got in, the MAGAs were all on.
Once he got in, the MAGAs, but I don't think any of the Republican politicians were MAGA. They weren't there yet.
Not yet.
Okay,
no.
So what happened? What happened? The Republicans had a majority in the House and the Senate for the first 2 years of his administration, and they got absolutely nothing done. They got nothing done, nothing accomplished.
The wall. The
wall was a few hundred miles, and that's it. The healthcare didn't get damaged. They got nothing accomplished in the first 2 years, and then that's when they lost the majority.
Well, yeah, I think the other thing that you had an issue. You're right about that. Well, I guess my point is that there's diversity of thought, not anti-Trump or pro-Trump.
Right, but let me jump in again, Dave, with that.
Diversity of ideas.
Diversity of ideas is great, but if they don't come together and get all 219 Republicans to vote yes on whatever they're trying to put up on the table, if they don't come, but you got these belly aching asses that are around there. They go, and I'm sure they're just angling for something. They're going to avoid, So all the jackasses, they're Republicans, and they're belly aching, saying, "I don't like Johnson," or "I'm not going to support this," or "I don't like this," or that. When they have to realize if they're going to get anything accomplished, they have to all come together and vote together. Yes, correct. If not, it's another 2 years of nothing.
Correct.
Well, I think that's what the big thing. So here, and I think why with Vivek's tweet and the amount of Elon being involved, okay, whether it's superficial, meaning on Twitter only, or he actually has influence over Trump. I don't know the answer. Obviously, we're not on the inside. We don't really know, but he definitely has a certain amount of influence. I think. They are Vivek's always been conservative, but Elon's a new person towards a conservative movement, right? And people like him. There's good ideas that come in, but there's also things that have to be thought about as far as that are going to affect policy, I think, within the Republican Party and could fracture it if the ideas aren't argued about and we don't figure out what is kind of the right agenda. What is right. Agenda? So I want to read this because this is the part that I think is a mistake. One of the things I think that Vivek makes a mistake on, that it is not the nerds versus the jocks, quote unquote. Like you have both in the Conservative Party. And my guess is in the Conservative Party, you probably have more jocks than you do have. I'm not saying jocks meaning like they all played sports. I'm meaning tough guys, alpha guys who would relate to that. That it doesn't mean whether they play sport or not is really irrelevant. Versus quote unquote nerds per se. So this is what Vivek's tweet was. The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans, not Indian Native Americans, but actual Native Americans, isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he said, which is a lazy and wrong explanation.
Well, I have a high IQ, just so you know.
I think that's an interesting thing that he said right there. A key part of it comes down to the C word culture. Yeah, I know. But by the way, he definitely doesn't have social skills because when I hear the C word, I think of something else.
I hate culture.
He obviously never got any of that until he got married. Yeah. So the C word called culture. Thank you for explaining that to me because I was thinking of something else. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 1990s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prompt. So I could kind of maybe get behind that paragraph, but then he goes and blames this next part. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers.
Oh, I don't like that.
One does not have anything to do with the other.
Yeah.
One has zero. First of all, a jock can be the valedictorian. My brother was the valedictorian, and he was also the top runner.
Who's this Vivek guy? Sounds like someone who got a wedgie in high school and didn't like it.
He definitely got wedgies in high school. Okay, I mean, give me a break. Let's. I mean,
well, I think what he's saying is, let's not give the NIL money to a guy that can throw a football. Let's give the NIL money to the person that can mix two different things in a test tube.
Well, here's what I will say. Okay. Engineers, if they learn the way that things are with tools now, because I was in the tech field, because of the way tools are for engineering, meaning they're all talking about programming and technology. Okay, that's what they're talking about. there are tools there. So you can teach these skill sets. Yes, you have to have a certain level of intellect to be able to do well, but math and physics are math and physics, okay? And you're teaching math and physics, okay? Programming is just a language. It's still math and physics, okay?
Right.
So it's just teaching that language to people. So he's making it like this is something that people cannot do. I can tell you this. This is the truth. And I'm not saying that one should be paid more than the other for it, but I am saying that. There aren't many people that can throw a football like Tom Brady. There are thousands of people that could be engineers, but there are not thousands of people, because he's talking about the grunt worker, okay? He's not talking about Elon Musk, who's also a business builder. He's talking about the guy who's going to program. So his whole statement is, to me, crazy. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zach and Slater over Screech from Saved by the Bell. So what he's saying is,
I don't like this statement at all.
So what he's saying is that we should be celebrating Screech. Like his analogies are terrible.
Horrible
He
metaphors.
He's on the spectrum. There's no doubt he might be a genius, but he's on the spectrum. Okay, or Stefan or over Steve Urkel from Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Okay, and then he says,
Zach and Slater. I mean, come on.
Fact, he goes, I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actually limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows.
Really?
Precisely because they promoted mediocrity. And their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. So he knew 2 or 3 people. It reminds me of when a person says to me, my neighbor was a Division I player, so I know how to get my kid a scholarship. That's moronic. More movies like Whiplash. Have you seen the movie Whiplash?
Love the movie Whiplash. Love it.
About the drummer with a guy screaming at him over and over again.
Right.
More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends. These 2 things have nothing to do with each other. More mass tutoring, fewer.
This guy, he smoked meth or something before he wrote this statement.
No. Let me explain him to you. He was a great engineer. He was super smart. He probably was like a valedictorian kind of guy.
But he got wedgies.
The football players
gave him wedgies.
Stuffed him, or maybe not I don't want to accuse football players, but some jocks stuffed him in a locker.
Yes.
He hasn't gotten over it yet. And so now that he's a billionaire, now he's a billionaire, it's revenge of the nerds. I've been saying this for a long time. When you see what's going on, and it was really more on the left, because the left was really primarily tech, but what the left is, what the techies have figured, tech pros have figured out, is that, you know what? Why align myself to one party? Go where the wind blows. Wherever the people are voting.
That's smart.
That's where we're going to go. That's where Elon's going to go. That's where Vivek is going to go. That's why Mark Zuckerberg is now pro-Trump. I'm not saying he's a Trumper, but is more pro-Trump because it doesn't benefit their platform.
Yeah, you're fighting an uphill battle.
Why not go with whoever wins?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what the tech guys are because they can have more influence because they have more money. So he goes on and on. But I mean, it's no Saturday morning cartoon.
Wow, he ranted.
More books, less TV. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, more creating and less chilling. Let me tell you this: I enjoyed chilling in college. Okay, more extracurriculars and less hanging out at the mall. How about social skills?
Well, I don't think he got
people.
He didn't get laid at all.
All this stuff. All this stuff applies to engineering or jobs like that and all that. But I can apply things to everything. Like, who do you want in a firefight? I don't want Urkel.
Yes,
I don't want
Screech.
I don't want the math valedictorian. I want a badass motherfucker who's going to come in and save me or fight.
Zach and Slater.
Right. So everything applies to everything.
War, a guy Shrek McPhee, or do you want fucking Vivek?
Guy told me this. I played with a guy in college, and he told me this. He goes, bottom line, the biggest and the meanest make the rules.
Yeah, I don't like this culture.
So when the little guy comes into the room, if you're not the biggest and the meanest, you better shut the hell up because you ain't making the rules. That's it. After that, it's all downhill. The lion on the safari is not called king of the jungle, right? Because he can solve geometry problems.
No,
the lion in the safari can bite your head off and eat you.
Yes,
that's it. Those, unfortunately, are. That's why the United States and the Soviet Union and China and whoever else that has 800 nukes or 1,000 nukes are the kings of the jungle.
Yes,
you know,
and they all
Somalia is not out there going, we're going to dominate the world. No, listen to us.
Neither is Zaire. Dave, you mentioned immigration. I wanted to.
Isn't it the Democratic Republic of Congo right now? It
doesn't matter. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has ended 2 programs that provide social services to illegal immigrants who are released into U.S. interior, telling lawmakers that one brings immense cost with little improvement, and that the other is out of line with ICE's mission. So ICE cut 2 programs that were for immigrants, which is big news.
Why would ICE have programs that would benefit and pay immigrants when they're trying to control who's coming in and get the ones that aren't registered out?
Well, it says ICE shuts down programs offering services to illegal immigrants.
I have one question before we dive into that.
Because they're coming regardless.
Hold on.
And we have to take care
one question for Frank, because I'm curious Frank's thoughts. Because I think Frank is the voice of reason. And I think that he has good insights on these kind of things. Do you think that Vivek and Elon are possibly utilizing the fact that they're now aligned with the Republican Party to advance not an American agenda, but their agenda?
Who's Vivek again?
Vivek, he ran for president.
He ran for president. He was in the debate.
He started a biotech company. I think he ended up selling it for X amount of billions or whatever he did.
I don't like him already.
Some people say it was a pump and dump. So
he throws the word culture around too much.
Well, I mean, I think there's always,
No, I hate people who use the word culture. They throw it around.
It does bother me
they don't know the meaning.
I hate when people, because you know what, in football that gets thrown around like
it's a buzzword.
Bothers me when a coach gets up there and says, "We got to build a culture," blah 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 blah, and they don't know the fucking first thing about building a culture. They're just saying something that they heard Bear Bryant say or something. Like we got to build a culture. Everybody, no shit. Everyone has to build a culture.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Culture will never be the C word to me.
No, I've never thought of culture as the C word.
Yeah, that's why this Vivek guy either didn't get laid a lot or.
I think your point is valid, Dave. I mean, there's always a possibility that there's some sort of master plan as to how to divert Trump's popularity with Congress into creating laws that may benefit both of those guys. So I like the idea of having them there. I love this Doge idea. That's fantastic. But again, what are the intentions of Doge? What are the guy? See, here's what bothers me. When Musk didn't declare any political alliance to anybody, or he's kind of a liberal or, the Democrat, let's say, put it in a way, everybody loved him. Republicans loved him too. They thought this guy's a genius, right? The guy's a genius. He is a genius.
He is a genius. Yeah.
He goes MAGA. And now half the country hates him. They think he's an idiot. They think whereas the guy is still a genius. So is he geniusly assisting who he likes, or is he geniusly setting himself up for success for what his interests are? That's a great point.
You don't know that.
You don't know that, and I wouldn't doubt it. I go back to Gordon Gekko.
Greed is good.
That's it. When when you have I don't know how many billions he has, 200 billion, 500 billion, you want another 500 billion. Wow. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world. It's terrible to say, terrible to see, but that's what it is. So I don't know. I want to believe in these guys. I want to believe in Vivek too. I want to believe that there's definitely fat that can be trimmed. off of this budget that is out there. If I showed you some of the expenditures, I know I've read about some of them before. I saw even more now as I'm just going through the budget. It's outrageous what's out there and what's been given just in COVID money alone, PPP money alone. The artist Chris Brown, the musician Chris Brown, everyone knows him, right? The woman beater Chris Brown. Pocketed $5.1 million. Well, he needed in COVID money and PPP money. Right. So I forget the name of the band too. They pocketed like $3 million. There was money. Oprah took money. Oprah took a few million for her production company to pay her staff. The Dixie to pay her. Right. Come on. I mean, she's a
billionaire. She could have paid him herself.
Right. But the government money's out there and somehow she qualified. So I think that there's
qualified. My guess is Chris Brown.
She had a company. Yeah.
Chris Brown does concerts. My guess is he probably qualified.
Sure. So that's it.
He probably was shut down.
But those are the rules that are insane. I don't see. I know even around here, some of the bigger restaurants in the area, the bigger restaurants in the state, they didn't need the PPP assistance that came through in this country as far as payroll protection, but they ended up getting it. And they got millions because they had hundreds of employees. Yeah. And they took those millions and they just put them into an account. Yeah. And that's it. And they don't have to pay it back.
In Belize.
Right. So I just think that there's so much that can be trimmed from this budget.
Look what that says.
What does it say? I can't read it.
Cully for athletic director. Yeah. You're goddamn right, Chris D. I should be the athletic director. Thank you. And the president.
Right. So go back to that. I mean, I hope their intentions are good. Could it happen? Absolutely, Dave.
I don't know, but this was the other big news because
I think that these other news are important, but I think this is really important because if the Republicans are going to be successful, I think what Frank brought up about Congress is really important. I think understanding not as much Vivek because he's kind of like.
He was all over the place.
He's all over the place, but his influence because he works with Elon on this stuff.
So he's got juice.
What their overall agenda is, and then their agenda may be great. Okay, maybe they have insight that I don't have. But one of the things about communication that's important, especially when you have a forum like they do. When you put something out there that shows that you lack the ability to communicate and you're in a position of power, it's, to me, dangerous, okay? Because
very dangerous.
You don't have the ability to understand another side, okay?
No.
That's important. Now, you may still have your side, but the Revenge of the Nerds thing, I always said this. You know what the lesson I learned from the movie Revenge of the Nerds? What did the nerds do when they actually became cool? The same things
that the jocks did.
Things that the bullies did.
Of course they did.
The same things. They outcasted the bullies. They put they wanted the pretty girls and they did the same thing. And what does that teach you?
What does that teach you?
Whoever thinks they're in power is going to exert their power absolutely.
The biggest and the meanest make the rules, Dave. That's it. Whoever's in power, the biggest and the meanest. You know what I learned from Revenge of the Nerds? I learned that engineering is important because when Lamar threw that javelin when it was wobbling, but aerodynamically, it ended up being the best throw. So engineering is important. I do remember that.
It is important.
Yes.
It's funny. That's the one thing I remember from Revenge of the Nerds as well. When Lamar fires that javelin.
Unbelievable.
So I wanted to ask you, Dave, this was big news. It's not a big secret that the cost of attending a 4-year college or university is completely out of control.
Oh, tell me that one.
It's almost gravity defying how the cost of college has increased relative to regular inflation over the past 20 years. Right now, 500 nonprofit private colleges have shut down in the last decade, according to the Wall Street Journal, which was 3 times what it was the decade prior. The news is about to get worse is there's a stern warning announcement coming from the pilot in the cockpit. 2025 is going to have a lot of turbulence, followed by potentially weekly plane crashes of colleges and universities who can no longer afford to open the doors. The new reality is the ultimate law of supply and demand of families in America are voting with their feet. And they're saying that, they're going to get equivalencies. They're going to go right into the workforce. There's going to be a lot of people who opt out of post-secondary education, especially the low-income students, because those, even with means, are beginning to choose alternatives. Because even competition for the state colleges and universities where parents can enjoy the state tuition, which is a lot cheaper, and grant programs and scholarships that are offered,
listen, to be an engineer,
they're getting taken away.
You
just need to go to work. You just need to go to work.
No, you get courses online.
Yeah, and get certified. Yeah, absolutely.
You get certified, Microsoft certified, whatever program is certified. Go get themselves a $75,000 a year job. So it's just an intellectual version of hand trades. Where you go and work with your hands. It's just an intellectual trade. That's all it is. It's just a trade with your mind.
Right.
With your hands. You're not asking you to create businesses. The people who are going to do that are going to do those kind of things. These are, the people that are going to be doing the work.
And it's even harder to find people to go into the military, they said.
Well, I'm
the
sure
military's tough. And then the blue collar, like the plumbers, the HVACs, all those people, the cost to get plumbing fixed, it takes months to get a plumber.
Again, we have two generations of young adults who do not want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to sweat. They don't want to work 8-hour days. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you what to blame. This is what's to blame.
This is
is technology. The internet is to blame. And here's why.
Well, it's people being able to brag about Jimmy and Joe, or
correct.
Joe and Jane. Going
Remember, before the internet, there was a modem to get this stuff across as to how some people are living high on the hog, while 99% of the world suffers. Remember MTV when they first came out and they had shows like Cribs, Pimp My Ride, right?
Yep.
Things like that,
yeah.
right? So people were sitting back or remember
Lifestyles
of the Rich and Famous. What was that guy's name who did it?
Rich and Famous.
Right, yeah. So he did, and they'd show you, and you'd be like, but when you were young, you'd sit back like, wow, that's pretty cool, man. Good for that guy. Now. You get the Kardashians out there, and they're dancing around, shaking their ass, and they're
famous,
hundreds of millions of dollars for doing nothing, right? So now the young kid that's looking out goes, you know what?
I just want to be an influencer.
I want that, I want nothing, because I am not going to do what my parents did and work 40 years and go to the factory and drive an Oldsmobile, and get beat up. That's not the life that I want. It's not appealing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make tons of money one way, or else I'm not doing it at all. That's it. Or waste their time in college. They're 8-year, 9-year veterans of academia. With a child psychology, with a Van Wilder, with a child psychology
Van Wilder
degree.
was a joke. Now all the kids are Van Wilder.
Right.
You know
Van
that
Wilder was hilarious because you couldn't fathom a guy being there in his 7th year in college. It wasn't fathomable. Now half the football players are in their 7th year. I
just watched the Miami tight end. University of Miami tight end was hugging his coach. 9 years. He was in tears. He's hugging his coach. I've been here a decade. I can't believe I'm leaving now.
The average cost
They're
for
like, we have no more dorms for you.
Private college is $58,600.
Listen, my dilemma right now. So my son has applied to several state schools in New York State.
No, yeah,
they're an affordable range if you consider about $25,000 a year affordable.
Affordable.
Maybe with a little bit of assistance as far as academic assistance for him. Maybe he gets it down to 18, 19 a year.
That would be
fantastic, right? And then I got a little pocket change out there. Maybe it's a $25 a year total. Beautiful. Or His dream school is
no.
University of Rochester because he wants to be in the medical field, and they work with Strong
so
Memorial, the
freaking
hospital
expensive.
right there in Rochester, great hospital in Rochester, but that's $90,000 a year.
Syracuse.
Is that where University
I don't
of
think it's
Rochester is?
U of R is 90.
Syracuse
Syracuse
is
is 86, I think. 86 for Syracuse. So you're talking about, okay, and
you got to take out a fourth mortgage.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But you're going to get help. They're going to drop 10 or 15 to the kid right off the bat because he's got like an 80 average, so they're giving him academic help.
Not really.
And then afterwards, you have to see if you qualify for FAFSA for financial aid,
which you will not.
So who knows? I don't know.
I know.
My returns are great. My returns are fantastic for help.
Unless you have creative accounting.
I got 8 million deductions a year in being in business.
If you have creative accounting.
Yeah. So, but bottom line is, so if you don't get any help, you're talking 75 minimum, not counting out of pocket for food, gas, whatever else he needs. So he'll go 4 years there. And then he's still got to do.
Comes out in debt.
Even if he wants to be a physician's assistant, he's got another 2 or 3 to put in
for PA school.
That's six years minimum, right?
Yeah.
And he's dropping $75,000 a year. He's going to be in debt when he comes out.
Yep.
Or I'm going to be in debt
Absolutely.
when he comes out.
You're going to be in debt.
So you're never going to get out of debt.
Never. So, and that's the dilemma. That's and see, here's the thing.
There's only certain professions.
We're in an age now where you can't send your kid to community college, or it's looked down upon. When they introduce my son should go to a SUNY school for 4 years, get an education, then go to wherever you want and do your PA.
Because MV transfers everywhere.
But Dave, how it is. Senior night, right? Yeah, seniors are walking out in the field.
Yeah,
Bob Smith is going to Penn State to study chemistry. Someone's going to Duke. Somebody else is going to Cornell. Yeah, whatever. So, and it's all that prestige shit. For 5 minutes of someone saying where they're going, now you got to drop 4 to 6 years worth of cash in there, and you end up strapped at the end of your life. And that's how all these kids have gone in the direction in the last 2 generations of kids. They've borrowed and borrowed and borrowed, and no one's told them, hey man, how are you going to pay this back? Oh, I'm going to get a job. What if you don't get a job? What if you don't get the job that you want?
Yeah, they expect to make 6 figures.
You're not going to get the job you want. That's the funny part. The sad part is most likely you're not going to get the job you want. You're
never going to.
Frozen, which I'll come right.
Yeah, you're frozen again. Yeah, is the cold spell from the that nor'easter coming down to you early there, Dave?
No, it's absurd right now. And I was with Frank. College does not prepare you for life.
No,
it does not prepare you.
Well, it prepares you in a way because you are existentially on your own. But some are getting more assistance from the parents, but basically you are away and you got to wash your own clothes.
Yeah, but
you got to organize your. So you're doing
it doesn't teach you how to work a job.
No,
it doesn't teach you about getting an apartment. It doesn't teach you how to live life.
So here's an option I always gave to my son. I said, listen, forget about college, go to a trade school, right? Learn a trade, learn something that can be beneficial to us or whatever. Go learn a trade, go 2 years or whatever it is to a trade school. I'll give you $100,000. You put in your account. I'm going to start you up $100,000 up.
And you're not coming out in debt.
And you're not coming out in debt because we'll pay for the trade school. What better? Why is that not a great option?
Because the Jimmys and the Joes and the parents,
because every kid wants the college experience. They want the college experience. They want to go to college. They want to hang out. They want to party. They want to. No, he does not. They want to drink. They want to smoke. They want to go have nights out. They want that experience. That's what it is.
I don't see Cutler as a party.
What's that?
Like wanting.
Oh, he goes. He has fun. He has fun. He's young.
But I don't see like the college experience being.
That's what he wants.
The main.
That's going to be. That's going to be big. That's big for any kid.
Then you wouldn't go to a SUNY school.
Sure, you would.
SUNY schools are boring as hell.
Are you kidding me?
Other than Cortland.
Are you kidding me?
Portland's fun.
No, they're not. Those SUNY schools are fantastic.
Geneseo's no fun.
Geneseo's a blast.
Is Albany fun?
Albany was the #1 party school for a while.
Yeah,
Albany's
they're great schools.
Bars still stay open till 4.
They're great schools. So I mean,
New York has the best state schools out of anyone in the country.
We have a ton of them.
Yeah, we have
but
we also have the best.
the two best state school systems in the country are New York and California, hands down.
Yes. Yeah. We do. We do have the best state schools. But depending on the profession or if you know what major you're going to go into, there is no reason to spend that kind of money.
There isn't.
You can go to a Cortland. I mean, Cortland has great kinesiology, biology, and you can do that.
Here's what I think schools the change should be. Okay, like I don't claim to know the answer or everything with respect to public school or how to cut all these things or not cut them or whatever. But I do think this should be a part of every kid's curriculum, and they should come out of high school with the ability to do these things, and we have to go back.
Yes, I agree.
Here's what they are. It's very easy to take classes to become an engineer, a lower level engineer, albeit, but an engineer. Every kid should come out of high school with the ability to get an engineering job. Okay?
Or a trade. I think that.
I'm saying that's one. They should come out with that ability. That everyone should. Doesn't mean they
really value engineering that much.
Yeah, I think you need to know some level of programming as you're coming into the world now.
You're talking about like coding and software stuff, not like architecture.
Even just operating some of these softwares, right? Like, listen, Frank, I can't operate this video. You need to know how to do these things.
Yes,
okay?
Yes, I agree. The computer stuff. Yes.
It may be level computer 1 engineering, skills. But schools should be every public school, private schools can do whatever they want, but every public school should be responsible for having a kid good enough they can get a low-level engineering job if they want to, number one. Number two, they should be able to come out of high school with some trade hands job as well. It doesn't matter. They should have different paths. Like one person programmer might want to be. I might be interested in network engineering, meaning the plugs that go into your to your systems.
Well, and Dave, you say engineering, isn't that just computer science?
No, engineering is multiple
it's
different
not.
things.
Okay.
Well, there's civil engineering. There's
there's chemical engineering. My brother was a biomedical engineering major.
Everybody should There's engineering with respect to coding, right? But people should come out with. I mean, Vivek and Elon are basically talking mostly about coders. They're talking
for software.
Not saying it, but that's what they mean, engineer in their area. But,
you're saying for computers, though.
You should come. I think you should come out with a base level computer engineering.
Yes.
Understand? Okay, where you could go get a base level job in that.
Every job requires it.
Right.
You have to be able to function.
Whether it's shop, whether it's mechanic, whether it's a roofer, you should be able to come out of high school with that as well. You should have both of those. Yep. Those two things. Okay. Now. You may never choose to be an engineer. That's fine. You may want to use your hands. You may never want to use your hands, and you may want to be something with your brain. But no matter what happens out of high school, you come out with these two skill sets that if you don't ever want to go to school again,
you have something to fall back on.
You could start somewhere, albeit a lower level, but you will start somewhere. And I think that's the flaw of our educational system right now. The flaw in our educational system
huge flaw.
High school is just designed to get you to college. That's it. Nothing else.
That is it.
No skill sets. No, you can't even balance your checkbook.
Yeah.
Nope.
Hey, Dad, that's what we need to do in the high school area. We got to balance a checkbook, how to change a tire, how to talk to people correctly, finance, all that. Yep. How to invest money.
They have communication skills. They have
They look at the ground. They don't even look at you in the eye.
I know.
When you're talking to kids, they don't look at you.
More communication skills.
French literature. Now, listen, I don't care if they want to take French literature. Great. But we don't need French literature as a requirement to graduate. We don't need
all those gen ed requirements. I understand what you're saying. Psych. You had to take psych and stats and all that crap.
If someone's very good at math, well, let's use that as an example. Okay, I was very good at math. Okay, if I'm very good at math and I'm coming through and you're accelerating me through, instead of keeping me where I am, if you talk to the parents and say, hey, listen, we think Dave can finish Algebra 1 by 7th grade. By the time he's a freshman, he could be taking physics. It doesn't mean he's a genius. It just means he has the ability to complete these things. Why is that person doing the classes of a kid who doesn't have an interest in there? That person goes to the path that comes out with a basic engineering understanding.
Correct.
But he may be, if someone has shown aptitude with mechanical things, by the time they enter high school, that person should be able to know how to start taking apart and building cars.
Right.
And by the way, you have to know computers to do that now. But
you do.
So by voting 219 Republicans in the House, will we get all this accomplished every time as long as they all vote yes?
But what about if you're interested in history, if you're interested in
terrible, don't
creative
do
writing?
No, don't
English.
do that. Don't do that either. Those are useless.
There's people there that are.
I don't think that there's direct jobs there, but
they're not
teachers.
I think you should be able to come out of high school if you can. Let's say you liked it. This guy's. I'm going to be a history. I mean, there's not that people.
I was good in English.
I was a PE and history major, by the way. I just want to say that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, you were a double major.
Well, how about this? Why should you have to go to college to be a phys ed teacher? Why should you be able to complete that in high school?
You could do kinesiology.
You couldn't have learned to be a phys ed teacher by the time you're done in high school.
I think you got to go somewhere after high school. No, maybe it's just you got a student. You don't need 4 years. A community college, maybe a 2-year or 2-year run, or just put them somewhere. You don't need 4 years to be a phys ed teacher.
Teachers have to get masters.
Yeah.
They require teachers to get masters.
Doctors. They're doctors now. Dr. Jill Biden. I thought she was a doctor. I was waiting for her to do surgery.
Oh, he got his doctorate.
Right. That's a title that I think is.
Well, he needed it.
Ben Franklin learned. He was an apprentice.
Administration.
Apprentices.
Right.
Yeah.
They were apprentices, so they could. Because remember, they couldn't afford really. Even though he probably did, but most of them couldn't afford a great education, so they would get as far as they could, go be an apprentice. And that's how you learned on the fly. And then you could continue your education while you're working. That's the thing that I think that
people stop doing.
But you're asking people to work again, Dave. That's the magic word. Nobody wants to do it.
Take night class.
They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. I see. I'm in the lower labor workforce. We're not engineers where we are. We do engineer a good pizza, but bottom line, I see the motivation and the focus and drive is just, it's not there. And I don't mean just for my business. Most of the people that come into my place, they move on. You know what I mean? They're there in high school or college and they're working and they move on.
Yeah.
But
which is what you want.
Yeah, but I just see there's just a lack of desire to do anything.
Anything.
So. They just and how to.
Yes,
that's what we need. We need to get the joy back of working. No one has any joy working.
No passion.
Well, because everyone wants to just do the job that they want, their fantasy job. That's all they want. If not,
of course.
Well, life isn't like that.
No.
Life. I was. My fantasy job was. My fantasy job was. I was going to go GA. I was going to coach in college.
We all did.
That's my fantasy job, right? And what did I do? I'm back. I'm in the restaurant business. I didn't want to be there, but now I'm here and I'm okay. I'm okay with it. So it's just a matter of you got to be able to accept things. You got to be able to pay your bills.
You got to be able to roll with the punches.
Right. Absolutely. So I think what it is we're allowing kids to settle for less. They're just they have
holding out for more. Though.
But that's settling for less than, because if you hold out if you're trying to hit the home run every time up at the plate, you're going to strike out most of the time.
They are.
And what happens is when you strike out enough times, right, you give up. And that's what these kids have done. They've given up. They see that they can't achieve what they see right there.
Yes.
And I don't want to put the effort. There's no sweat equity. We call it sweat equity. You gotta get in the game and you gotta work.
You gotta pay your dues.
And they don't want to do that because it's too hard. Everything is too hard.
It's not too hard.
It's mentally and physically draining. It's more mentally draining for them than physical draining.
I think they get overwhelmed, and that's why there's so many mental health.
Yeah, but they get overwhelmed by one problem. One issue. It's not like there's 100 issues.
I think they think long term and they see I got to do this, this, and this to get to where I want to be.
No, they don't
and
think.
I am now overwhelmed.
They don't think. They're not taught to process this.
No,
they're not. They're not taught to process failure. because they've been given everything by their parents, and that's not every kid, because there are certainly disadvantaged homes and all that.
Entitlement,
but they're given everything by their parents.
Yep.
They're given everything by their school as far as education opportunities, all that. Even when they work at a job, they can have their cell phone. They can be on their cell phone while they're working a job. They can talk to people. Absolutely, they can.
I know. I disagree, though.
Go ahead, Tom. Oh, right, but it happens.
I think you should take their cell phone.
But if I did that. I used to lock up cell phones. You know what that does? That creates instant panic. Instant panic. It's like taking heroin away from a heroin addict, right? For a period of time. So there's so many factors in this, but our youth have lost their motivation. So how to reinstate that? That's a big question to me.
Well, they have to give them incentive, I think.
Yeah, but what incentives are you going to give them? What are you going to give them?
Tuition reduction? I don't know.
Wait a minute. They don't. But you're sending them right to the place that we're saying don't send them. Don't send them to college for 4 or 5 or 6 years. It's bullshit. And it costs you a lot of money.
I only think certain professions need college.
How about the Peace Corps? Send every kid to the Peace Corps for a year.
You had said that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, let them get understand what hard work is. Go dig a ditch in Sudan.
What about what Israel does? Everyone's got to serve for 2 years.
Military, sure. Yeah.
My parents saved money for me to go to college. You said that I would have been better off taking the $250,000 and starting a business as opposed to going to college.
Absolutely.
And I would have been further.
Or work for somebody else. There's tons of jobs out there that you can work. You don't need a college a degree to do.
No.
And you would have been you would have been a $250,000 up. You would have been a $250,000 up.
I mean, Dave, would you say your college degree helped or prepared you?
If I knew where I was going to be now, I would have declared for the NFL at a high school, and I would have started my.
Well, no, but
I had it served 2 years as a fullback in college. I could have went right to the pros somewhere at some low level if I didn't make the top, and then I
Dave, that's the biggest.
I honestly, knowing what I know now, I think
it was just having a degree that what businesses want.
Sure I would have done the same thing. The only thing I would have done differently, and I think this is important that I think people have to understand this. If you're going to go to college, and this is where the only thing that could be tough for you, this may not be siding up to what you want to do, Frank. But if you're going to go to college, I no longer see the point in state college education. I actually think invest in a better school and fuck going to fucking.
Well, you're right to an extent because the alumni network in those schools.
The alumni network is everything. The alumni network.
We talk about MIT.
Like, is everything. Now listen, not everybody can go to
Johns Hopkins will take care of you for life.
Yeah, I mean.
What if it got flipped around, Dave? So banks and lending institutions and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, instead of giving you money,
Fannie Mae.
Yeah, they're loan organizations by the government to give student loans out. Okay. Instead of giving out loans for education, what if they gave you life loans? So on you going out and getting a job, let's say I get a job working construction for $50,000 a year, whatever. I'm just throwing a title out there. $50,000 a year. I've got this job now.
And they give you a loan.
Government, give me $100,000 loan. Okay. I take that $100,000 loan. I invest it in the market at an 8 or 10% return. I pay interest on the loan as I go along from the money that I'm earning from my job.
And you pay it back.
And then I've built up equity now in the market, and now I've created my nest egg after 10 years, right? And I probably advanced in my job position, or maybe I moved on to even a better job. I guarantee paying the loan back, and I have something instead of borrowing all that money in college and coming out with no job security, and no way to pay that financial loan that I'm obligated to.
Dave is right, though, to an extent. The schools, if you are able to go to one of those upper echelon schools, you are set for life.
Listen, I know I coach kids that went to Hamilton College.
Yeah, you're set for life.
No, you're not. Kid who's working at Utica Mutual selling insurance, 45 grand a year.
If you wanted to do, if you were a hard worker, let's rephrase it. If you're someone that wants to be successful, there's plenty of, there are plenty of people that go to Harvard or Duke or whatever, and you decide they're just going to tour Europe for 3 years. You know what I mean?
They do.
Yeah. But the people who are motivated that are going to those schools, because most of them are, most likely their network has a better chance of being successful than if you go to most state schools. I'm not going to, there are better state schools than others, UVA and UNC is one of them actually, but like UConn's considers a good state school.
Very good now, yes.
State schools. But I would bet my bottom dollar that most of those kids today struggle to get a decent job out of undergrad. One of the reasons why I came back for my 5th year, okay, one of the reasons I went, and this is a fact. So I was on scholarship, and my 4th year, I was graduating, and I interviewed for jobs.
Right.
And I was shocked at how low I was going to be paid. So
it is.
So I go in there and I went back in there and I talked to Skip and I said, he's like, we need you back next year. I said, well, I got to get into grad school because this is just a waste of my time staying in school if I'm not if I don't get to go to a grad degree. All right, I'll try and help you, put in a recommendation for you. I got into the MBA program. And that helped me tremendously. The undergrad business degree helped me zero.
Useless.
The MBA program graduate degree got me a great job. I got a great job. And honestly, I learned a lot about entrepreneurship, which helped me down the road for what I ended up doing. But
why can't colleges give you that in the first 4 years?
I agree. That's my point.
Instead of taking basket weaving, these mandatory courses you have to take that have nothing to do with what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
My undergrad finance degree, I can name only one teacher that helped me and he was a great teacher. He was our finance teacher. He was like financial management. The guy was great. I don't remember his name, but I remember what he looked like, and I remember his teaching style, and he was fantastic. He was the only one. I remember doing not that well in my options class, because the teacher was a poor teacher, and I was really like bored, like I was kind of bored. And I know options now, but I had to learn on my own. But when I got in the MBA program and I switched to management of technology, I could tell you that not just the technology part, but marketing, management, like the people I learned from, the people that were in business, who worked out in the world, who came back for their MBAs. What I learned from those people was tremendous. And that was a difference maker. But the undergrad, honestly, and I was better off, and Steve would agree with that, being a business major. I was way ahead of most of the students who were probably social majors or philosophy majors or political science. You might as well take those and wipe your ass with it.
Yeah, it does nothing for you.
Nothing.
Unless you get a master's.
So how does Donald Trump help us on this? We got to go back to Rebel Republic here. We went off on a skew.
No, but it's right. It's a higher education.
I think
Biden
is kind of a political.
Biden wanted to be for free.
Vivek and Elon. That's one of the things they are talking about. I may disagree with what their focus is of the conversation, but I do agree with the fact that we've got to revamp the education. The question is, that is a monumental job, right? We're talking about. Education was designed for people to get jobs, for originally to work in industry, and then after it became less hands based, to get a job in corporate. That's basically what education is for now.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Hopefully the direction. I don't see it getting better. I see it getting worse. I see everything getting to the cost of where you're going to shut out smart people. There are going to be some smart kids that just can't afford to go, and they'll have to go into the regular workforce, which we need that manual labor workforce. But those are the ones that will suffer, that don't get the opportunity. But I don't know. I just going back to what I was saying before. The Republicans need to be unified these first 2 years. They need to be unified. They need to show strength in voting. There's no other strength they have to show. They don't need to yell and scream at each other. They don't need to point fingers. They don't need to say who's more conservative than the next guy or the next woman. What they need to do is say, what do we all agree on? What's up for the vote right now? We're going to border Wall Street, done. We're going to do pipeline, done. Everything you need to get across the board, because Trump made good points in his campaign. The point was that we need to lower energy costs. I think that's probably the biggest thing and the biggest effect he could have on the economy of this country, because there are more minimum wage increases coming. There are higher prices coming across the board on a lot of different items that people don't understand, especially housing. Housing is impossible to find right now. It costs more to buy a home than to rent, because the mortgage rates are still hovering around that 6.8%.
Do you think that that's going to implode at some point? Because I'm thinking about what's going on with cars right now. So cars, you couldn't get a car. They were hiking them way above MSRP, blah, 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 blah. And now these cars are sitting on the lots. No one paying for these interest rates. They inflated the car prices so much. Detroit's in huge trouble. Okay.
Right.
I mean, even Elon's stuff is not going off, like flying off the shelves. Okay. So, which is, EVs, right? And a lot of they hiked up these costs across the board for cars, and they're just sitting on the lots.
Yeah. Well, I think vehicles are a little different, obviously, than housing. Housing, vehicle, you can drive an old vehicle, you can spruce up an old vehicle. In vehicles, you don't need to change as much. Housing is just a necessity. You have to have it. So if you can't afford to buy, I mean, the average price of a home before COVID was in the twos, 240, 260. Now the average price is 440 of a home in this country. It's doubled.
That's crazy.
Right. So you're looking at an imbalance, a huge imbalance, because and banks with regulation now have tightened the way they loan money out for home purchases. So even if there was something to buy, and which there isn't, because the home builders like Pulte and all the rest of them are pulling back, they're losing money building homes. Number one, they're not building because the costs are too high to build, and they have no way to sell them afterwards because no one can afford to buy them.
Do you think that discourages young people too from trying to get enough money to succeed, because they look at this mountain that they got to climb?
Yes.
It's almost like if I don't know, if I lined you up in a race and every guy ran 100 meters in 10:0, you're not going to be very encouraged to run that rate.
You're done. You're dead meat.
You're dead meat. You're like, I won the race, right? Because I have no shot. It's not even a fair competition.
Yeah, Dave, what as a young adult coming into this, all right, you got your degree and you got your first job working wherever. What do you got to make to survive? And that's a hard question, because it depends whether you're in an inner city, a large city, are you in the metropolitan, are you in rural, are you out in farm country, where you are, it all depends as well. But what do you need to survive, to be able to pay bills, be comfortable, and put some money away? I mean, you're talking, I can't see anyone being less than six figures and having a great life in a big city, right? In somewhere you can't. I mean, it's minimum $2,500 to $3,000 sometimes getting just a studio apartment, right? To get a regular apartment, 1 or 2 bedroom. So you're talking, if you make $100,000, 30% of your income is going to go to pay just to live. I mean, those are outrageous numbers. I remember Susie Ormond, if you ever remember her, she was the financial whiz, right? She said it's got to be between 6 and 10% of what you do goes towards your rent at the time, right? Or whatever, or mortgages like that. That's unachievable right now.
People are spending more than 50% on rent.
Right. So you're blowing half your money just to live. And so how is it going to implode? I don't know, because there's unless the government comes in with an incentive program and the government starts building, where are all these imaginary homes going to come from to be able to satisfy the needs of the people? So, and think of it this way. let's say if the Fed lowers interest rates a point, half a point. They said they're going to do half a point next year max, but let's say they go a point down and now it's 5.8 or 5.5% interest. That's going to spur more people looking for homes. They're going to be like, oh, wow, the interest rate's down now. Maybe let's go look for a house now. And there's nothing there because I'm not selling my home. Why would I sell my home when I can't find another home? If you have a home, you're not selling it. You know what I mean? Unless you're locked in on something that you can buy automatically on a snap, on a drop of a dime. So, I thought about it too. The value of my home has doubled since I built it easily. So now if I sell it, okay, great. I got all this money. Where do I go?
Where do you go?
I can't build because the cost of building has doubled since when I started building, if not more.
Your only choice would be to go move to a place that's way cheaper to get the same thing that you already had.
Right. So that's or go overseas.
Actually move out of your community. You can't sell a house in your community and move to your community or nearby your community.
No.
Because you actually go down. You'll go down in the type of house you can get.
Exactly, without a doubt. Which is, for me, once my kid's in college, I could dump this. I don't care.
That's a different
story. Right. But bottom line, so you're saying how, they're looking at this as a young adult, you're looking at the situation and it looks hopeless. It looks hopeless. So that's what I'm trying to, I guess that's my overall goal and point is to try to have this government give young Americans hope. They need to give them hope. Some people have it. Some people have the job they want. Some people have the life they want. That's great. But, when people are complaining, here's what bothers me. A lot of the ultra extreme liberals would always make fun of the people that said, my God, eggs are $6 a dozen. Or, you see how much cereal costs. Or, just the people were complaining like that's what I need a change in. I personally, that's why I voted for a change in this government, because I need a change in affordability of everyday items for my family. And the higher ups on the liberal side poo-poo everyone on that. And they say that they're idiots and they're uneducated and they're immoral because they voted for this guy. And what are the price of eggs now? Hey, bottom line, these people, unlike you, can't afford it. So they're going to complain and they're going to want to make a change. So they're not uneducated. They're not illiterate. They're not racist. They're nothing. Right. They are trying to survive day to day because after they spend their money for food, they like to have something left over to be able to put in a savings or to be able to put in their checking account or to be able to go on a vacation like a normal person. But the normal people that do that and that don't shop for themselves and don't know the price of eggs, they don't know the price of bacon, they don't know the price of cereal, they can't utterly understand how that happened. And so it is a mandate. It's a mandate now to get shit done for these first 2 years. They don't want to see Republicans, conservatives, MAGA, whoever you want to call these people. They don't want to see what happened the first 2 years from 16 to 18, which was absolutely nothing. And so this is a big inflection point right now. I think it's a big, big one for the Republican Party. These first 2 years, you got to get border security tightened up and constructed and going. You got to get these illegals that are dangerous to the society out of this country. You don't got to get all of them out, for God's sakes. Some are hardworking here and all that. That's fine. We can listen. We can spot a chinchilla in a mound of dirt in Saudi Arabia. With satellites. You tell me we can't vet people in this country to find out who's who and who's what and what who needs to go and who needs to stay? That's bullshit. We can get that done right away. So you got to work on those things. You got to work on affordability of everyday items in this country. We got to lower inflation a little bit. Those are the big sticking points, right? So they have to get those done. If they're not all together on the same page, voting together, looking united in front of the American public on TV, then we're going to go right back to where we were in 18. You're going to lose the House majority. You're going to lose some Senate seats if any are up in those 2 years. And you're going to see another shift, and you're going to see a political pull by the left to be able to say, I told you so. And that's very powerful. And they have to stay away from that.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Steve.
All right. Another fantastic episode of Rebel Republic. on 97.9 Unity Radio.
Somebody who's friends with his alleged girlfriend had just messaged him that he has a small penis.
Oh, it's gigantic.
Yes.
It's gigantic.
I can
it's
imagine.
the size of a walrus.
That's right.
Yes.
Is that your honey that's texting you and saying, Steve,
No. I'm trying to coordinate with Joe and Maria about what we're going to do if we're going to do something tomorrow or Thursday. So,
okay.
But I will let you know on that. For the voice of reason, Frank Cristiano.
Thank you.
Another phenomenal
Stephen, I'm privileged to be here. Thank you so much.
You are privileged.
Yes.
And you got paid.
Yes.
And the man himself, David Schuman, the greatest influencer around, Coach Schuman. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's in a Hall of Fame, the Palisades Hall of Fame. And he has 1.8 million followers.
Your followers are like rabbits. They are fucking rabidly, Dave, and they are multiplying at an incredible rate.
And you're either with us.
You were at 1.1, right? Wasn't it 1.1 million?
We're at 1.5. 1.5.
He just lost 300,000. He was at 1.8 a second ago.
1.1.
Yeah,
yes.
1.8 sounds better.
1.1 sounds fantastic.
But you're either with us or you're against us. Go to the Coach Schuman YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and join the revolution of the rebels.
It's not just politics on there. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it is. But that's why it says sports and entertainment.
Yeah,
we do it all. We provide you with all the content you need.
Okay.
And that's it. So, Dave, Frank, remember when life gives you lemons,
I've heard this.
lemonade, take 2 oranges, shove them right up your ass.